Welcome to the iRogya Wellness Podcast, your quick guide to a healthier life. In each episode, we'll explore practical tips and insights to help you on your journey to optimal health and well-being. Let's dive in.
Okay, so today we're going to be diving into Slenderiiz.
Okay.
You know those weight loss drops
Right.
that everyone's buzzing about? They promise to practically melt your worries away along with the pounds. And listen, I'll totally admit, part of me kind of wants to believe in a magic solution like that, you know?
Sure.
But the skeptic in me, the one who's tried every fad diet under the sun, knows it's never that simple.
Right.
So we're diving deep into Crack the Code, why Slenderiiz drops may disappoint you, to get to the bottom of it all.
It's good to be skeptical, for sure.
Right.
Especially in the weight loss world. Everybody's always looking for that quick fix.
Oh, tell me about it.
But I will say, Slenderiiz, their approach is interesting.
Okay.
The whole homeopathic formula, and then they've got the adaptogenic herbs in there. It's not your average diet pill.
No, it's not just take this to feel full. They're talking about appetite control, boosted metabolism, even improved mood. It's they're promising to biohack your way to being skinny.
Yeah. And it's true that some of these herbs, individually, they do have studies backing them up.
Okay.
In terms of potential weight loss benefits, especially with appetite regulation. But this is where it gets really interesting, is that the source points out how different our bodies can react to these ingredients.
Okay.
Based on our own genetic makeup and stuff.
Wait, are you saying that my DNA could determine if these drops actually work for me? It's not as simple as take this, lose weight.
Way, way more complicated than that.
Okay.
Think about it this way. Imagine you're looking at the blueprints for two different buildings. They might use some of the same materials,
right,
but the final structures are going to be totally different based on, the architect's plan, right?
Of course, yeah.
Well, your DNA, that's like your body's blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
It's influencing how your cells function, how you metabolize your food, even how you respond to different substances.
So how does that apply to my genes and how my body would react to Slenderiiz?
Well, let's just take caffeine, for example.
Okay.
Some people, they can chug an espresso right before bed, sleep like a baby, no problem.
Right.
Other people, they have a sip of cola and they're up all night.
Oh, yeah.
That's because our genes actually influence how we process that caffeine.
Oh, wow.
And there are similar variations for how we metabolize all these compounds found in herbs and other natural ingredients. Right?
Yeah.
So Slenderiiz might have these ingredients that do have some science behind them. But whether or not they actually work for you really hinges on how your unique genetic code is interacting with them.
Wow, that is kind of a game changer. It takes those vague disclaimers they always have, individual results may vary.
Right.
It takes it to a whole new level.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to why these drops might not be delivering on their promises.
Don't leave me hanging. So the source we're looking at, it actually breaks down 5 key reasons why Slenderiiz might not be working for someone.
Okay.
And the first one that they list is incorrect usage.
Interesting.
Which seems surprisingly important.
Right. You'd think it's as simple as take a few drops and,
Yeah, magic.
watch the weight melt away. But the source really emphasizes the instructions, how specific they are, and how much that plays a role.
Yeah. And it's not even just remember to take your drops every day. It's they mention sublingual use and taking the drops before meals.
Yeah.
And even they have a whole separate set of instructions for people who are using the day and night drops, which I didn't even know about until I read this.
Oh, wow.
So it's very, very specific how you're supposed to use this.
It's not like swallowing a pill, right, where it eventually, gets broken down in your system.
Right, right.
The source was saying that the sublingual method, putting the drops under your tongue, it allows for faster absorption.
Interesting.
Straight into your bloodstream. And the timing, especially in relation to meals, is really key because that's when it maximizes the effects on your metabolism and appetite, supposedly.
So, okay, so even if you're using the right ingredients, your unique, biology might be reacting differently. And then even if you've got that going for you,
Right.
you got to be taking these drops in a very specific way
Right.
for them to work their supposed magic.
It's really highlighting how a one-size-fits-all approach to weight loss can be so misleading.
Right.
But there's more to uncover here. And remember those individual differences we were talking about?
Yeah.
Let's dig into that a little bit deeper.
Okay. So it really is amazing how much those individual differences like play a role.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not just like, oh, I'm, motivated or I have enough willpower. It's like it really is like ingrained in our bodies and how they work.
Yeah, and this is where understanding, like even just a little bit of the science behind it can be super eye-opening.
Okay.
The source doesn't get like too technical about it.
Right.
But they do mention how our genes actually like impact our metabolism.
Okay.
And how they impact our appetite regulation.
Okay.
And those are both, those are really important.
Right. Huge players.
Yeah, they're key players in the whole weight loss thing.
Yeah. So break it down for me.
Okay.
How do our genes like actually, make our metabolism faster or slower or, affect our appetite?
Think of it this way. Your metabolism, that's like your body's engine.
Okay.
It's constantly burning calories just to like keep you alive, even when you're at rest.
Right.
But just like some cars are, like gas guzzlers,
Right.
and some are super fuel efficient, our metabolic rates can be really different.
So are you saying like some people, like naturally they burn more calories than other people, like even if they're not like hitting the gym every day?
That's exactly it.
Oh, wow.
And research is showing that a lot of that is determined by our genes.
Uh-huh.
Some of us, we might have gotten those genes that make our metabolisms a little bit slower.
Right.
And some people, they win the genetic lottery and theirs are naturally faster.
So it's like it really is like, I mean, I guess it explains why some people seem to like, eat whatever they want.
Right.
And they stay thin. And other people, they look at a slice of pizza and they gain 5 pounds. Like
It's true. And it's not even just about like how many calories we're burning at rest either.
Okay.
Our genes can also affect how efficiently we're converting our food into energy.
Oh, wow.
And even how our bodies actually store fat.
See, this is so interesting to me because I feel like for so long it's just been this message of like calories in, calories out,
Well,
but it's clearly way more complex than that.
it's way more than that. And you mentioned appetite earlier.
Right. Like some people, they always feel hungry.
Yes.
And some people, they're like, no, I'm good.
Exactly.
So is that our genes too?
Yeah. Our genes actually influence the production and the regulation of a bunch of different hormones that play a role in controlling our appetite.
Like what?
So you've got hormones like leptin and ghrelin.
Okay.
And even insulin. They can send signals to our brain telling us if we're full or if we need to eat more.
Oh.
And guess what? Variations in those genes can lead to differences in how sensitive we are to those signals.
So somebody with like lower leptin sensitivity or something,
Yeah.
they might like constantly feel hungry even if they've just eaten a big meal.
Right.
Because their brain's not getting that signal.
They're not getting the memo. Exactly.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so it all comes back to this idea that we're all different.
We are.
And what works for one person might not work for somebody else.
Right. And that's why understanding these individual differences is so important, right?
Right.
Slenderiiz, with its blend of herbs, they might be trying to influence these hormones and these pathways.
Mm-hmm.
But the impact, it's going to be totally different depending on your own genetic makeup.
Okay.
It's like, when you're trying to play like a musical instrument, but it's a little bit out of tune.
Okay.
You might be able to hit the right notes sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's going to take a lot more effort.
Right. It's not going to sound as good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Okay, so we've got this like individual differences piece of the puzzle, but the source actually mentions a few more reasons why Slenderiiz might not be like living up to all the hype.
Sure.
The next one that they list is lack of exercise, which, okay, this one, I'm not going to lie, this one feels a little predictable maybe. So are we talking like, even if these drops DO something, even if they DO curb my appetite or like, I don't know, give my metabolism a boost, I can't just sit on the couch and like magically expect results.
You're getting it. Yeah, the source makes it clear that Slenderiiz, it's not like a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Okay.
It's not a substitute for actually like putting in the work.
Okay.
It's more like, imagine you're trying to get a fire going in a fireplace.
Okay, I'm with you. Yeah.
Slenderiiz, it's like, maybe it's like those fire starter logs.
Okay.
They get things going. They help the flames burn a little hotter.
Right.
But you still need to like add the actual logs, the fuel.
You got to keep feeding the fire.
Exactly. Exactly. You have to keep feeding that fire if
Yeah.
you want it to keep burning.
Right. Right. So like what's the fire, the equivalent of the firewood then in this scenario?
Exercise, moving your body, that's the firewood. That's what really fuels your metabolism and
Right.
creates that calorie deficit that you need for actual weight loss.
So there's no escaping those treadmill sessions then, huh?
I mean, it's not just about the treadmill, right? It's about finding ways to move your body that you enjoy.
That's true. That's true.
Because that makes it sustainable.
Right. Okay, so we've covered individual differences. We've talked about exercise. Now this next reason why Slenderiiz might not be working. This is where things, I think, get a little bit more like serious, maybe.
Okay.
Because they say underlying health conditions.
Yeah, this is a big one. And especially for anyone listening who's maybe tried Slenderiiz or they're trying to lose weight and they feel like they're doing everything right.
Right, but nothing's happening.
Exactly. And they're getting frustrated, right?
Yeah.
The source specifically mentions things like thyroid disorders.
Okay.
And hormonal imbalances.
Okay, so remind us, like, in a nutshell, how do those things impact, somebody's weight?
Your thyroid, think of it as like your metabolism control center.
Okay.
It's this little gland in your neck, but it's producing hormones that regulate how fast or slow your body burns calories.
So if your thyroid's out of whack, it's like,
oh yeah,
you can work out all you want, you can, take your drops, but your metabolism's still just
it's like trying to run a race with like a ball and chain around your ankle.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's not going to work as well.
Exactly. And it's not just the thyroid either.
Right.
Hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, yes. All of those can impact your weight too.
Stress hormone.
Yes, exactly. And they can affect things like your appetite, where your body stores fat.
It's like this cascade of things.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that holistic picture.
Right. So somebody's listening to this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's me. Like that's what's going on. What's the next step? What do they do?"
Honestly, the best thing you can do is talk to your doctor.
Oh.
Get the right tests done because they can figure out if there's something going on with your thyroid, your hormones.
Right.
And the good news is a lot of times these things can be managed, whether it's medication or even just lifestyle changes.
So it's worth looking into.
It's worth looking into.
Don't just assume it's like, I'm just meant to be this way or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. It could be something as simple as, a little tweak here or there.
Interesting. Okay, so we've talked about individual differences, the importance of exercise, underlying health conditions. What is the final reason why Slenderiiz might not be all it's cracked up to be?
This one's a big one, and it might seem obvious, but the source really emphasizes that you can't just rely on the drops alone.
Right. Like, it's not a magic solution. You can't just sprinkle it on your food and call it a day.
Exactly. It's got to be part of a bigger picture.
Okay, so what does that even mean? Bigger picture. Like, what are we talking about here?
The source keeps mentioning positive lifestyle changes.
Okay, we keep hearing this phrase, positive lifestyle changes, but like, what does that even really mean? Is it just like eat your vegetables and go for a walk? Or is it like, is there more to it than that?
It's definitely more than that. It's about looking at your life as a whole.
Okay.
It's thinking about your sleep, how stressed you are, your relationship with food.
So it's like, it's not just about the number on the scale. It's about like your overall well-being.
Exactly. It's about feeling your best.
I like that, yeah.
It's about having more energy, sleeping better.
This has been so interesting. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. Yeah, it's fascinating to really dig into the science behind all of this.
It really is. And I think what's really resonated with me is just how much like our biology plays a role. Like, it's not just about willpower.
It's so individual.
It is. Like, what works for me might not work for you, and that's okay.
Exactly. And that's why these like one-size-fits-all solutions, they often fall short.
Right. They're not looking at the whole picture.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, any final thoughts before we wrap up our deep dive on Slenderiiz?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that there's no magic bullet. Weight loss is a journey.
Oh, it's a journey, for sure.
It takes time, it takes effort, and it's about finding what works for you, not just following the latest trends.
I love that. And, it's so easy to get caught up in those like before and after photos and the testimonials and everything. But at the end of the day, we really just need to listen to our bodies.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing.
Well, there you have it, folks. The next time you see those tempting weight loss ads, remember what we've uncovered in this deep dive. Ask questions, do your research, and most importantly, listen to your own body. Until next time, happy listening.
Thanks for tuning in to the iRogaya Wellness Podcast. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. If you're curious about the products we mentioned today, you can find them all at irogaya.com. That's AIROGYA.com. And hey, Use the code IROGYA15 at checkout for a 15% off discount. Please note that the code is not applicable for Europe, some parts of the Middle East, and South Africa. Until next time, keep taking those steps towards a healthier you.